Okay, the webinar is now live, so we can see who will start to pop in, and it's just us three for just now. Okay. Well, there we go. People are starting to come in. Good morning, everyone. We'll wait a couple of minutes before we get started. Thank you for coming along to the webinar for food security. Hope everyone's doing well this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are in the world. Okay. All right. I think we'll just jump in and get started. So, like I said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the webinar for the Masters in Food Security at the University of Glasgow. With us today, we have your Programme Director, Professor Gareth Jenkins, and your Administrator, Elsa Watson, who both will be able to answer your questions that you've emailed in to us and any later on throughout the session. If you've got any more questions, just send them in to us. Use the Q&A box that we have set up for you, and the chat box I'll actually use to put links in there for you. We won't be able to discuss anything about scholarships, visas, accommodation, fees or anything like that. We really just don't have the time, and it's better that you get in contact with those different departments. And I can certainly give you links for that information also. So what I think we shall do just now is just talk about the COVID situation first as well, and the university's stance on it. Obviously, we would love to have everyone back at the university in September. However, we don't know if it's going to be blended learning or what's really going to happen. You're going to have to really look at the Scottish guidelines for what we have to do for students travelling to the country, and also your own country's guidelines, whether you can actually leave that country also. So I will hand it over to Gareth Jenkins. And Gareth, can you just tell us a little bit more what's involved in the programme, especially the first semester coming up for people, what you've got planned for them?
Yeah, well, good morning, everyone. I would encourage you to look at the university's website for this programme, and there you will get all of the detailed information about what the programme is about and the content and structure of the courses. The main point is that this programme is about trying to understand and address the problem of global food security, the problem that many people in the world do not have access to sufficient nutritious food. So the programme is really about global food production and all the numerous aspects of that. So we talk about crop production, animal food production. We talk about some of the social and economic issues associated with that. So it's a very wide-ranging programme. It's not specifically about human nutrition or food safety. It's really about global food production and all of the numerous aspects of that. So our key point, if you like, is that we have a very broad and interconnected programme, lots of different courses, different aspects. There is quite a lot of choice available for you in courses that you take. So that is essentially what the programme is about.
Excellent. Okay, so one of the questions emailed into us then with regards to things like that is what forms of classes will they have? Will they have the chance to do some experiments or have lectures and seminars only? What do you expect?
Okay, so the structure of the programme is that in the first semester we have 3 compulsory courses. One is about the general issues of food security, focusing on the social, economic, political aspects of it mainly, and just giving a broad introduction to the topic. The second course is about the production of crops, and the third course is about the production of food from animals. So none of those courses involve any lab work or anything like that. They are all basically taught through a variety of media, through lectures, small group working, debates, presentations, and so on. In the second semester, we have a number of courses that students can select from according to their interests. So some of those courses will include some lab work. For example, we have a course called Molecular Lab Skills, which is intended to be an entirely lab-based short course. Another course, Plant Genetic Engineering, is also lab-based. And one of the other courses also has a small laboratory session. So most of the courses don't involve lab work, but in the second semester, students can opt to choose courses that do, if they want to do that. Some students just don't want to do lab work, others are keen. So you have the option to do lab work or not. Finally, in the summer, remembering that this is a 12-month program, in the summer, you do your project. And again, some people might choose to do a project that is focused on lab work. Others choose to do a project that is not.
Okay, excellent. So here's an interesting question for you. How do we attain the zero hunger goal without pressure on the natural and environmental resources?
Yeah, extremely good question and virtually impossible to answer. I mean, I think it does underline rather the complexity of food security, because of course we want to have zero hunger in the world. But there are so many factors associated with that. Population growth is the key problem that we're having to address, and how to feed the global population. And of course, as the population increases, there is more demand on land. People want land for housing and so on, apart from growing crops. So we have this difficult situation that we try to achieve zero hunger with actually less land area to actually produce crops on. So inevitably, there are trade-offs between trying to feed everybody and the impact on natural resources and so on. So it's very difficult, and of course that's what we discuss in the program. All of the various challenges and different aspects of this. So it's extremely difficult to find a solution. I mean, one issue, of course, is to try to produce crops that are more efficient and that will grow in areas where they presently don't grow very well. So, for example, crops that are more drought tolerant or able to grow on saline soils, those sort of things. That would at least increase the availability of food in some areas. Trying to have more efficient agronomic practices, trying to have much less food waste. Globally, about 30% of the food that is produced is wasted. So from the point of harvesting right through to the point of consumption. So there are lots of factors that we can try to discuss and deal with to reduce the impact on the natural environment.
Okay, excellent. Let's see. Career opportunities within food security is what's available to people?
I mean, the role of the University of Glasgow is to train people in the subject of food security. We're not an employer in the sense that we don't employ people to work in the area of food security. People within the university do research in the area of food security, so there will occasionally be opportunities, for example, for PhD students. But I think what we're trying to do is to train people with knowledge and understanding of the area of food security so that they can go and seek jobs. And our graduates are actually very good at going and getting jobs or PhD positions after they graduate.
And what type of jobs do you know from past students?
There are numerous opportunities. So I don't know if we have on the website, but certainly we do have lists of people, lists of places where students have gone. So some will work for government organizations, some work for companies, various types of organizations. So we have, I mean, just to give you an illustration of the diversity of things. So we have one person working in Manchester Airport, where they look at the produce that comes in from other countries. Another person, for example, works with a company which assesses economic opportunities in undeveloped countries. So, I mean, there's all sorts of different things that people do.
Okay. Someone has emailed in to ask, are there any members of the faculty team with research interests relating to agricultural economics?
Yeah, so there are various, numerous people who teach on the program. Many of them have interests, research interests in the area of food security, bearing in mind that food security is extremely broad. So we do have people involved in economics. There is one person that is involved in agricultural economics that teaches on the program.
Okay, that's good to know. Let's see. So what do you think are the real world applications of the course content on the program?
Yeah, well, a lot of people at the moment are concerned with human health care, not least because of the COVID pandemic and all of the other issues, all the other diseases and illnesses that affect people globally. So human health care is a big issue, big problem. But the increasing problem is food security. At the moment, approximately 25% of people globally have some issue with food availability or hunger. Around about 8%, I think it is globally, have a real severe hunger problem. And the remainder, up to 25%, have issues with food availability and maybe are suffering from malnutrition. So it's a large number, but the number is increasing. And that is the problem. As the global population rises from the present number of 7 point something billion to 9 point something billion by the year 2050, we will have an even greater problem in feeding everybody. So that 25% is going to get bigger. So the more we understand the issues of food security, the more we will be able to try to address that problem as it increases. So point I'm trying to make is that human health and nutrition is always important, but food security for people is going to become increasingly important as the global population continues to rise.
Okay, would a student is asking, would they get enough exposure to laboratory skills acquisition to qualify them for employment in the field of biotechnology?
I think that the answer is that if a student chooses their optional courses appropriately, then they would get some laboratory skills. But if they really want to study biotechnology, they're much better advised to take the master's course in biotechnology or biotechnology in management, which is obviously designed to train people in biotechnology. So I think if somebody really wants to do biotechnology, then that's the best thing to do rather than food security, but they will get some relevant skills from our program.
Okay, what else do we have? So what do you think is the approximate percentage in food insecurity in the world?
Yeah, as I was just saying, I think it's, if you look at the current information from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the FAO, which is where we get a lot of information from globally, where we direct students to reports. If they read, reports from the FAO, then you'll find that in 2020, I think was the last number I have available, which was that 25% number. Approximately 25% of people globally are suffering some level of food insecurity, either severe malnutrition or hunger or some extent of malnutrition.
Okay. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to direct this to Ailsa, actually. That was like a rabbit in the headlights there, Ailsa. How do people enroll and register on the classes that are in the program?
Okay, first of all, when you are made an unconditional offer and accept that, you will be sent instructions from the university on how to register and enrol. It's a fairly straightforward process. I'm usually on hand to assist people with that process. The only courses we've asked you to enrol on, first of all, are the 3 core courses in semester 1, which Gareth has mentioned to you. I will, when students sign up and accept their place in the course, I'll be in touch with you at that stage and we'll talk you through the enrolment process. You will receive some automatic emails from the university, but in terms of enrolling for classes, that's pretty much when I come in, and I'm usually in touch with students from the time when they accept their offer right up until they turn up, and then all the way through, and then after you leave, we're here to support you for that. It will all become very clear when you accept your offer.
Sorry, you were cutting in and out a little bit there. Sorry.
It's not great on this computer. It will become clear when you accept your offer. There will be a trail of communication with you from that point to ensure that you are enrolled in all the classes, and we're all here to help you through that process.
Okay. People obviously from international countries have been asking about scholarships. Are there any specific scholarships that people that are tied to our food security program, or that people can apply to? Do you know of anything specific?
There is,
or is it just on the website?
Yeah, no, there is the Commonwealth Scholarship that we have, which automatically people from the Commonwealth countries are enrolled to apply to. So there will be one scholarship that's made available from that.
Other scholarships that are applicable to the programme are linked to in the fees and funding section of the programme website, which was put to the chat.
Yeah,
there's a section called fees and funding, and there's a link to there to the university scholarship database and to any applicable scholarships.
Okay, I'll just pop that link in there for everyone. Let's see what other questions that we have. So what do you think about the role of chefs in food security, or maybe it's food safety?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that somebody had asked that question. I think, as I mentioned, the program is about food production rather than cooking. It's not about cooking, human nutrition, or food safety. Food safety is of course an aspect of food security. Food preparation is an aspect of food security, but the focus is really on global food production. So from the point of view of chefs, then obviously preparing food properly for consumption is important, but it's not the focus of our program.
Okay. Okay, so we've got 10 minutes left. Any of you lovely people that have came along to view this webinar, if you've got any questions that you've not had the answer to just now, then definitely pop a question in the Q&A box for us. Please bear in mind that we can't answer anything about scholarships or visas or admissions. I can give you links and contacts, but I can't actually give you any more information about that because it's really not my forte, if you like. Sorry, Ailsa, on you go.
Yeah, I was just going to say on that, I saw that somebody was asking about in the chat about an offer. If there's any questions, if you're not getting a direct answer from the admissions department, you can email the food security mailbox. I will have a look at it and see if I can help. I mean, basically, if you're applying to our programme, we're here to help you. So if there's any question you have about scholarships, as Michelle says, it's not our department, but we can maybe help you, point you in the right direction. So if you email the MBLS food security mailbox, we should be able to point it in the right direction for you.
There we go. Just pop that email in there for everyone. Yeah, well, that's the thing. If we don't have the answer for it right now for you, then definitely we can find somebody who does or point you in the right direction. So definitely give us an email and we'll point you in the right direction for things. Don't have any other open questions at the moment. Anyone out there got a question for us that you need an answer to? Definitely pop it in the Q&A box for us. Let's have a look at my general questions and see what we have there, if we can answer anything.
You can read the question. So that's the question from Lamia, yeah?
Oh, there we go. There's one. Do you think that food insecurity in developed countries is disproportionately represented compared to that in developing countries? That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you, Lamia. I think it's that most of the problems with food insecurity are in developing countries. So that number I gave about, 25% of people globally suffering some aspect of food insecurity. If you go to Africa, then it's 50%. So, there are really large differences between parts of the world, obviously, in food insecurity. And here we are in a developed country talking about food insecurity, where in developed countries, it's not really a major problem. So nevertheless, it's important issue globally, and it's important for people in developed countries to be aware of all of these problems. So I don't think there is a disproportionate emphasis on food insecurity in developed countries. I think we do realize and focus on the problems in undeveloped countries, or developing countries, I should say. I don't know, does that really answer your question? If it doesn't, then I'm happy for you to modify your question or extend your question.
Is Ibrahim has asked regarding scholarship, is it possible for a Russian citizen to expect to have a scholarship or a tuition fees reduction option? I'm afraid not. You would be classed as an international student and have to pay the international fees that are on the website as stated. I'm afraid, sorry about that. Let's see, Nasiru. Upon the completion of the programme, what degree will be awarded, as this is a multidisciplinary course? Will there be any influence based on selected courses during the MSc?
No, you will get an MSc in food security. I mean, that regardless of which optional courses you take within it. And then, of course, when you have your transcript from the university, then it will state which courses you actually did. But everybody gets an MSc in food security.
Okay. What practical skills does one need to acquire before starting the course?
None, I would say. I mean, we take students with a huge range of backgrounds. So some people come from a food and nutrition background, or even event management and things like that. And then on the other extreme, we have people with degrees in molecular biology or biotechnology or agriculture. So we have a very wide range of applicants, right through from the more practical social economic aspects through to the more molecular biological or agricultural aspects. We get a lot of students from China, for example, with degrees in some aspect of food science. So we're aware that people, when they start the program, will not have all of the knowledge and understanding and skills relevant to the program. So that's not a problem. We don't expect anybody to have any particular skills.
Okay. So someone is asking about the application status. I'm just going to pop.
If you email me directly, I can take a look at them. If they email the mailbox, I'll take a look at that.
Oh, okay. I was just going to pop in the admissions email address, but I think they can be a bit overwhelmed at sometimes. Okay, so here is Ailsa's address for.
If you put the MLS food security one, I'll take a look at it.
That's popped in there for everyone. Okay, any more questions from anyone? So in last year, you were talking about farm visits, is that right? How did that go? How did you organise those?
Yeah, we have and there is a question from Lamia, which I'll come back to in a second. But in terms of farm visits, I mean, we've had obviously problems this year with COVID and certain things we've been able to do, but we did actually manage to get a group of our students who were taking an animal production course on a farm visit. So, it has been possible to do various things, and we will be running a lab class in the near future. So, yeah, there are various things that we have been able to do. Let me go back to Lamia's question. So I meant that food insecurity, for example, in the UK affects around 1/3 of the population, but we always hear about this being an issue elsewhere. I'd be interested to know where you get the third from. I think that's maybe a little bit high. Food insecurity. I know that there are people suffering from malnutrition and lack of availability of food in the UK. It's as much of a problem for those people as it is for anybody else globally that is suffering, lack of food and malnutrition. So it's good. I mean, if you're going to take the program, you can emphasize, the issues in the UK as well as elsewhere. I mean, food insecurity and malnutrition is the same, pretty much for anybody wherever in the world they're suffering from it, and that includes the UK. So we should be aware of the problem in the UK as well as elsewhere. And when students take the program, they of course give presentations, for example, on topics of their choice. They they do their project on a topic which they're interested in. So if somebody was interested in, food insecurity in the UK, then they could certainly, give a presentation or do a project in that area. So it's not something we ignore at all. I mean, it's often more talked about because globally, the largest number of people who are suffering from food insecurity and malnutrition are in developing countries rather than in developed countries.
Okay, thanks for your question, Lamia. Okay, let's see, we've got 3 minutes left. Get them in quick. If you've got any questions, by all means, email them in, just send them into the Q&A box.
Shall I just go back to the last point that we did about the labs and the farmers and the visits that we're doing this semester, is just to make clear to people that obviously because of the circumstances of COVID, not everyone's been able to attend those. So they have been optional, and the content of those has been made available to people who haven't been able to attend. And just obviously with the circumstances, we understand that COVID is having a massive impact on people's lives, and we had one student who had signed up to go and was required to self-isolate through the test and trace system the day before. So we recorded the trip and made the content of the trip available to them. Also, we are trying to get people back on campus. Obviously, everyone's safety is the most important, and we have been looking at ways to maximise the experience, try and get people involved where they can, but recognise that not everybody can be involved right now. So it is very, very flexible at the moment. And we'll look at how that's going. We'll look at how that will continue next semester, depending on what the government says we're allowed to do.
Okay, so we've got one last question that has come in. Ibrahim has experience implementing one of the UN in Central Asia, and I am very interested in the whole programme of food security at UG. Is it possible to choose all the optional courses?
No, sadly not. It's great you sound to have the right, really good experience, Ibrahim, and it would be very interesting to have you in the program. But sadly, you can't choose all of the optional courses for several reasons. Firstly, timetabling. Some courses run at the same time as others, and that can be a problem. Secondly, you have to do assignments associated with the courses, which are assessed. So if you tried to do everything, then you would be not doing yourself any good, because it would be bound to affect your assignments. So the best thing to do is to choose the ones which you most want to do, and not not try and do everything. Great that you're keen to do it, but I think it would just be,
I mean, if there is anything you're particularly interested in, there is possibility of the arrangement that you may be able to attend some lectures without taking assessments, but again, that may impact on your time. I would really concentrate on the things you're being marked on.
Yeah, you'll find that you're going to be busy, so don't try and do too much.
So he's saying he's ready to study. He's ready to get started. Good, I hope everyone's ready to get started. Okay, well that is 11 o'clock. That is our 30 minutes up now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, for asking questions. I hope we've answered your questions and allayed any fears for you about obviously the COVID situation. We just have to be flexible with regards to what our Scottish Government says and take it from there. And it's been great having Gareth and Ailsa along, who are your programme team, to answer questions for you as well. Like we have said, contact us if you have any issues. My email there is there for you as well, michelle.craig.2@glasgow.ac.uk. So by all means, email myself or Elsa if we don't know the answer to your question, then we'll find someone who does for you. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Aside from IELTS, I'm sorry we don't have time to answer that question for you. We have to go now, but email is that question.
That's exactly the sort of thing you can drop us an email about. We can answer that.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Bye for now. Bye.
Thank you.